Good morning, everybody. Welcome into another episode of the Auburn Blitz podcast. Brett and Faith coming to you here on this Wednesday morning. It is Wednesday, right? Our days were so screwed up yesterday.
I couldn't tell you.
We're just happy to be here, right? It doesn't matter what day it is.
Normal time and day.
Absolutely. Normal time and day, not a recording, but we are coming to you live, and we appreciate all of you that jump on in the morning to start your morning with us here to catch up on the Auburn Tigers. And Auburn last night with a very dominating performance over Oklahoma, 98-70. A good Oklahoma team. We talked about that, Faith, and we'll dive into that here quite a bit, plus some other things that we'll talk about. But business first, we want to thank Sense of Green for being our partner here on the program. For air that's cool and clean, call on Sense of Green. They are the carrier experts here in the state of Alabama. So make sure you call on them. If you notice on the post-game banner, the press conference banner, the carrier logo is on the Auburn press conference banner. So, yeah, big supporters of Auburn, big supporters of us here on the Auburn Blitz. So we really appreciate that very much. And Scout Program Management, man, that place is just a great place in Birmingham. They do such good work, pre-construction, post-construction, all the way through the project. They are a full construction management firm. And, again, specializing in educational projects, but they do so much more, and they'll ease your mind when you hire them to do the work for you, carry you through. You know, when you get the keys to your facility, it's going to be the way it should have been done. Going to handle all of that for you along the way. So appreciate them very much. We'll get to some other ones here as we move along. And again, we will take your comments this morning. Jerron's already jumped on and given us a big war down this morning. I think everybody is excited that Auburn was able to take care of business at home in the post-game press conference. First thing Bruce Pearl did was talk about President Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu in their press conference yesterday, and an actual looked like a substantive plan in the future for what they want to do to help create peace in the Middle East. And we know how important Israel is to our country and what Israel is to Bruce Pearl. And there were a lot of students there last night from New York. And so he had his pins on last night. He explained all of that. So you can go back and watch the press conference. But after he talked about that, the first thing he said was, man, Denver Jones was great. And you and I, Faith, have been talking about Denver Jones the last couple of weeks, and defense has always been there, but the offense had kind of fallen off a little bit. Not so much anymore. When you look at Denver Jones the last couple of games, and then you look at what he did last night, he didn't miss. I mean, not sure you can play much better. Only thing you can do is take more shots, but he was 4 for 4 from the field. He was 3 for 3 from outside the arc, had 13 points, added 3 rebounds. If you get that version of Denver Jones on a night in, night out basis, this team will be almost virtually impossible to beat. That's just my opinion.
It makes sense that we almost scored 100 points when he's playing like that, obviously. But yeah, I mean, we've talked about it. It was so much fun at first watching him just drain so many buckets just from outside the arc, inside, everything. And then, kind of, he didn't fall off, but, his offense just wasn't as top tier as it has been. And then he just comes back last night and absolutely, shut everybody up.
Yeah, it's 2 games in a row for him now, which is a good trend. And, there's a lot that we want to dive into in this game, but I think you start with the scoring. And, Jedi Broom kind of had a pedestrian night for him, 15 points. If you want to call it a pedestrian night, 15 points, 5 rebounds. It wasn't anything special, according to Janai Broom standards. But when you look at what this team was able to do and score 98 points, and he only had 2 points in the second half, and Auburn scored 54 in the second half. Man, that's so encouraging, and I think that's what and Coach Pearl talked about it too. He said, "Look, we're going to lose at some point in time." He said, "Let's just go ahead and get that out there." I don't know if that's him just saying, "I'm going to keep saying that, and I hope we keep winning," or I'm not. Maybe it's one of those superstitious things, but he's right. I mean, it's unrealistic to not think that you're going to drop a game or two somewhere along the way. But we were talking about, a team possibly winning this league with 5 losses. And, if you looked at, the guys on the SEC Network last night and you watch some of these other broadcasts, and everybody's like, unless Auburn falls apart, I don't see them losing, maybe a couple of games, more than a couple of games in the league. So if that were the case, that would pretty much solidify a regular season championship for this Auburn team. But that's not the goal, really. I mean, that's nice. I think the goal is to continue to get better. This team's going to have to get better. I know people watching go, "What are you talking about?" And Bruce Pearl said that. One of the reporters asked him, Faith, last night, have you seen the best version of this team? He said, "Well, I hope not." He said, "Because we've got to continue to get better. And if we don't get better, it's going to end in a bad result." So I think he's got a lot of good points mixed in and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Bruce Pearl, he's a very positive guy, but he's pretty real. But I mean, I think he does say that he wants the team to get better. He wants everybody to be better for themselves, and if we haven't seen the best version of this team, I tell you what, I'm excited to see what the best version is. I mean, these boys have Janai Broom only contributed 2 points in the second half, and they
scored 54 points.
Exactly. And we were talking about this a little bit last night, but you take out some of the key players in other teams. We were talking about Duke specifically last night. And if you take out Cooper Flagg,
you take out Cooper Flagg, they're not.
They can't compete. And you take out Janai Broom for us, and we've seen what can happen. So it's not just Janai. It's not just maybe he's, reached all of his potential. I don't know, but
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Not by any means. But watching just everybody also get better would be, I don't think we'd.
I just think there's a lot to take away from a win like that last night where, I'm on a text thread with a lot of people, and, everybody's kind of like, we just kind of get caught in this lull, and we weren't playing the best at times offensively. It just kind of looks like we're going through the motions, and you look up and you're up 12 and you're up 14, and it's like you're playing a pretty good team. And this is an Oklahoma team that had come in and had won 3 out of their last 4 and had just really blown the doors, again, no pun intended, off Vanderbilt, and feel really good about themselves and how they were starting to progress. And then they come in here and, you hope to compete. And I think it was a 10-point lead at half for Auburn, but it was like Auburn had made 2 3-pointers in the first half. And then all of a sudden, it's like they said at halftime, that's going to change. And it did. I mean, Auburn ended up making 8. I mean, they still didn't get to that magic number for me of 10 that really makes you feel good, but didn't have to. I mean, when you scored 98 points and you only hit, 8 threes, look down at the full stat line. Auburn did get to the free throw line a ton last night and made them count. They were 26 of 33. But so did Oklahoma. I mean, Oklahoma was 27 of 29 from the free throw line. So, we'll talk about the officiating in a little bit, but it was exactly what you were talking about, Faith, yesterday, about how these referees call these games. and how do you settle in? And right on cue, we've got a couple comments that will jump in. And Jeff says, do Auburn and Alabama make it to the 15th with Auburn 0 losses and Alabama 1 loss? I think they do, Jeff. I think obviously Auburn's got Florida and Vanderbilt in between that game, and I think Alabama has Texas. And I can't remember who it is. I'd have to pull it back up. I know they got Texas coming up Saturday. And I think they do. And you know what? I'd love for Duke to lose this week. Could they possibly lose and it'd be Auburn and Alabama number 1 and number 2 on the 15th? I mean, how unreal is that? So we'll talk some more about that. And then the comment from Bubba, your thoughts on CBM. You and I were texting last night, Faith, on that. I mean, it is who he is at this point. And I had a lot of people texting me about that last night as well. But here's the deal. The game was in control. Obviously, everybody knows he's a target. Everybody knows he's going to try to make somebody on the other team a target. So the little elbow by Fears, and what I watched here, and this is my analysis, Faith, I want to get your thoughts. I watched him go, okay, the dude elbowed me in the chest. This isn't going to end until I get the last say. And the last say was him ending up fouling out of the game with a technical foul and a personal foul and relegating himself to the bench. That one little instance consumed him so much that it ended up getting him out of the game. And you know what? Oklahoma, it didn't help them score-wise, but it ended up getting the result that they wanted. It got him out of his game mentally, and it physically got him out of the game. You know, at that point, you just kind of smile at a guy and go, okay, man, just look at the scoreboard. You elbowed me in the chest. You know, it was a little slight elbow. It wasn't something like I'm really coming after you as far as I'm about to try to inflict some type of harm. But he allowed that to consume him so much that it ended up getting him out of the game. And I think when other teams see that, they know that he still got that in him, and teams are going to try to bait him into doing something stupid, man. And he's just got to get better with that.
Yeah. Going back to Jeff real quick, it's Arkansas and then Texas for Alabama.
Arkansas and Texas.
That was, okay. That was the other one.
That's it.
But yeah, we were just hopping in the car coming back, and I was watching it on my phone, and just the few seconds of walking to the car and having it on my phone, I look down and I just see Chad, like, and I was like, there's no way that he's about to have a technical. And sure enough, I had the closed captions on, so the words were coming in a little bit late, but he ended up, Chad Baker-Mazara has fouled out, and then of course they go into talking about Yale.
Right
They're
after. Going to keep bringing that up,
but they weren't even I mean, yes, I'm pretty sure they brought up about him fouling out in that game, but then they also brought up Yale and how they're undefeated against all the Ivy League schools and stuff, just very unironically talking about Yale. And right. I just, of course they're doing that for good reason, I guess. But yeah, it makes sense. It's a compliment. I keep saying it, but it's a compliment when people want to get in your head and want to throw your game off.
Right.
But again, it's just something where he's going to have to, kind of figure it out. And
I don't know that he will, though. That's the crazy
probably
thing.
Not. But it didn't stop him from, exciting or hyping up the boys that were playing. And he didn't have a upset attitude at all, it looked like, which was good, because I feel like I would probably get really ticked off and maybe be upset, but that just doesn't bother him. He's still, hyping up his boys and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to – he's going to be who he is, and he's going to be involved on the bench, and he's a true team player. He really is. But, again, like that part of the game, and, of course, the game was in hand. Auburn was in control, but it just bogged everything down because they're having to stop. And then there were a couple of times now they're having to go back and look at the replay and see what actually happened. And, it just for no reason. I mean, it was about a 15-minute stop overall in time when all of that went down, and you didn't need it. It just didn't need to happen. Period. I mean, we can defend whatever we want to defend, and I love Chad Baker Mazar from a player perspective and a teammate perspective, but I had somebody text me last night and they go, man, it is just sitting out there, and this is going to happen again at the worst possible time, and it's going to cost us. And it's hard to argue with that because we've already seen it happen before, and it's hard not to say that couldn't pop back up again like we saw last night in a much more crucial moment and end up costing this team. And you'd hate to see that. Justice said, I think all of us are just waiting for the ball to drop. I keep waiting for a letdown, but so far I don't see any quit in this team. They all continue to hustle from whistle to whistle. Now, the effort of this team is unbelievable. And that's one thing that Bruce Pearl said, Faith, last night is, this team just plays hard, and they're going to give it all every time they get on the floor. And again, when you couple that with the talent and the depth that this team has, that's why you see scores like you saw last night, and you see 5 more players in double figures, and you see Chaney Johnson, where he only had 2 points against Ole Miss, come back last night and have 13. And Broome can be pedestrian with 15 points and they can win. Chad Baker Mazar, 15. This is 2 good offensive nights for him in a row, by the way, as well. We were talking about Denver, but this is 2 in a row for him now as well. And then Miles Kelly kind of got hot early and then only scored 9 points. And then we didn't even talk about Todd Pettiford, who had 11. So when you spread the wealth around like this, man, it makes it tough for teams to figure out who they want to defend and how they want to defend you.
Yeah, absolutely. I can also say that when I went to the Ole Miss game, when we played them last Saturday, it looked like Janai was slow from
right
one end of the court all the way to the other end of the court. It looks like each day he's getting better. He has to be, because the hustle from him last night was, I mean, it looked like he was at a low 30 on Saturday. And I told you that. I said he doesn't look healthy. He was slow. He was lollygagging on the ground or whatever. And last night, I wasn't there, but just from what I could see on TV, he was getting up pretty quick and going all the way back down. He really looked like he was getting in on the rebounds, because I feel like before he was probably, which anyone would be worried about getting stepped on or worried, about jumping up and rolling that ankle again. But it looks like last night he was really getting in there when it came to rebounds off the rim. So I think it looks like he's getting better. And yeah, I mean, the hustle from every single person out on the court.
Yeah, I think it's a couple of things with him. I think apprehension, like you said, knowing that he's trying to protect that ankle and not tweak it again or not be stepped on. So I think he's obviously being a little bit more cautious, but he definitely is getting better each week, and you can tell he's getting more healthy, and he's getting more confidence on that. The thing that I still see that he lacks in, and naturally so, is the explosion off the floor, being able to get up, because there were a couple of times I thought he maybe could have dunked the ball and he didn't do it. And he's never been a high flyer anyway. He doesn't have a lot of lift off the ground. He's a big guy, but he's not a big time jumper. So he gets a lot of his rebounds because of his height, and he's able to box people out. But I did see what you saw last night, and him getting up and down the floor a lot better. So I think he's just trying to play it a little bit more cautious until he feels like he is at 100%, and he can. And you'll see that, and that's great. I mean, all of this Hey, the beauty of all this, Faith, is we're talking about beating somebody 98-70, and your best player is still trying to get back to 100%, which is awesome.
Right, which is why also we talked about, you don't want him to go back before he's ready, because when I see, him either favoring his ankle or something like that, the only thing I can think about is the overcompensation of, trying to protect that leg or that ankle, whatever, and
Right.
him injuring either his other ankle or, his knee or something like that, because that's just the reality of overcompensating and trying to protect something, which is another reason of why I was like, he does not need to go back before he's fully ready, because that's just another injury waiting to happen. And I think, he did go back before he was 110% ready.
Right.
But we got lucky that he didn't re-injure himself or anything like that. But hopefully, just moving forward, he continues to stay healthy, but also get better the way that he was last night, by really looking like he was actually starting to feel better, and not favor that ankle.
It's huge to see him getting back, and I just look. We're saying that Auburn's been fortunate to continue to win without having him for a couple of games, and then him not being 100%. But let's be honest about it. We need him to be 100% coming down the stretch, especially when we get toward March. And if it means sacrificing a little bit right now to make sure that happens, so be it. I mean, again, want to win the regular season. And I think this team can. I think if they get a couple more wins here, especially in this stretch coming up, without losing, going to be very hard for anybody to catch them. And especially if Auburn goes into Coleman Coliseum and wins that game, and Auburn's remaining undefeated, and that would put Alabama 2 full games behind Auburn with a tiebreaker there. And unless there was some massive collapse, I wouldn't see anybody catching Auburn at that point. So that's how crucial this stretch coming up is. It starts with Florida. We'll start talking about them a lot more tomorrow, Faith, on the show. So we're going to continue to finish up here with Oklahoma. I just want to remind everybody that this Oklahoma team was 16-5 coming in and had won 3 out of their last 4. And, we talked about their guards, and they had their top 5 scorers on their team were guards. We knew the inside presence would be an advantage for Auburn, and it was last night. Even though Janai Broome only had 15 points, the rebounding edge, we out-rebounded Oklahoma by 10. We got a lot of second and third opportunities, kick-outs to guards, and that's why Miles, that's why some of our guards were able to hit some threes outside, because we extended offensive possessions. So, but when you look down at Fears and Moore, they only had 11 and 10 last night. And Miles, like we said, from right here in Alabama, who Auburn was high on, thought Auburn was going to end up with him. He only ended up with 7 points. Now, he was 3 for 3, but here's the issue. He couldn't get a shot off. The defensive pressure was so tough. You look down and you go, well, Duke Miles was 3 for 3. Why didn't he shoot the ball more? Well, because he couldn't get a shot off. So it's easier said than done. And Fears had a bad night shooting the basketball. He was 1 for 8. And Moore, again, had a decent night, but it wasn't anywhere close to his average of 17 points a game. He only had 11 points. So that's where this team, again, we want to concentrate on what the offense looks like, Faith. But at the end of the day, this team is winning because they are shutting teams down, and they're making it very tough for them to get into the 70s. And last night, Oklahoma got to 70, and that's it. And if you're holding teams to 70 or less, you're going to win them. I mean, that's just the way this team's built.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure we held Oklahoma to their lowest scoring all season. And again, I think that's just a compliment to, or at least for the second half.
Right.
I think that's just a compliment to how well our defense is and how well, they played. Yeah, we'll talk about the officiating after this, but hopefully I would like to see Ja'Kai Howard here next year.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah, I would like to see him. We talked about a little bit earlier how when Aiden Holloway left, and Trey Donaldson, they just didn't fit in with the coaching and the offense of our team. I don't think we've seen enough of him to see if he fits in with all that. I think right now he's just having some off the court issues, and we got to see him play a little bit last night. You could tell he wanted to score. He wanted to go out there and put up some points. We talked about that a little bit.
That's his first priority.
Yeah. He's young. I mean, you've got to take in the fact that you're coming off of being probably the best player on your high school team, and you're coming onto a team where you've got the best
player on his AAU team as well.
Right, and arguably the best player in the country, who's a senior, who's older, and you've got older guys. So you've kind of got to get that mentality.
That's the question, Faith. Can he see the future? Can he look past this year and see that how many people won't be back, and that he needs to build and get valuable experience so he can be the guy next year or one of the guys on next year's team? I mean, but if he can't see past that, if he can't see past the moment right now, and I liked his body language a lot better last night. On the bench, he was getting up, he was celebrating teammates, but that's going to be what it boils down to.
But the thing is, Brett, is I'm not saying just him. I'm saying everybody in college sports right now. No, because they're going to get another offer from somewhere else that they're getting offered more money. So guess what? That's where they're going to go because they didn't play. They don't want to see the future. They want to see right now. And that's basically every single athlete in college sports right now is they don't see the future. They see right now. And guess what? If he's not playing right now, well, coach over here is going to play him. So he wants to go there.
Yeah. Yeah. Michael said Howard won't be back. I think a lot of people feel that way. I hope not. Again, we'll see how it comes down the stretch. And, he's he got back in the game last night. So baby steps again. We've seen this progression 3 times this year already. Something happened, sit out, come back. Something happened, sit out, come back. All right. I think this will probably be it for him this year. He wants to add more minutes, start building back into this rotation. And if there's another instance of no effort or something happening off the court or whatever, I think he's going to probably be relegated to the bench for the rest of the season. And then I think that would probably be the nail in the coffin. Now, again, we're just speculating here. Faith and I are not saying anything. We're just saying that, we would love for him to be back next year.
Saying what a lot of people are thinking, probably.
That's exactly right. And I think we all knew he was a highly touted recruit, and we want to see him here at Auburn, but he's got to want to see himself here. I think that's the big deal. Obviously, Bruce Pearl wants him here. He wanted to recruit him. Okay. I think he saw him as a great fit for this program. And now he's just got to continue to mature as a person and understand he's got a future here if he wants it, but he's got to want it. And he's got to do the things that he's got to do to earn it. And maybe last night was the step in the right direction. Justice said he's got talent, no doubt, and I'd hate to lose him. I just don't see him here, see him there next year due to emotional conflict. Again, it's the same thing that we're continuing to talk about.
But it's the same thing we talk about with Chad.
Yep.
I mean, Chad.
He bought in. Chad bought in.
I mean, he fouled out last night. What we were talking about earlier, how he's got, it's hopefully not, but it might happen.
You know, it is two types of emotion to me with them. I think Chad Baker is more just about to explode with excitement and all over the
Yeah,
place. And the other side of that for Jakai is that his emotion takes him down into the dumps. He goes
that's
over into the corner and mopes and pouts. And when he's not getting the ball, he's not as involved. And so it's two totally different emotions.
That's what I was saying earlier about how Chad's emotion when he was on the bench after fouling out, it didn't change. He was cheering on everybody. That was
He was. He
that
was.
that shows the team player in him. That shows, the positivity. And obviously, I think everybody knows Chad is a very positive guy, very happy, he loves Auburn for, the short amount of time that he's been here. He's been able to love the place. But again, I still think, and maybe this is because I'm so young still kind of, but being so young and transitioning from all of that, I can only imagine how mentally tough that is, and how different it is. But Jakai has got to figure out, what is going to work for him. But it is, I mean, it's February now. It's not the beginning of the season anymore.
Right. And
So
we've talked about this all year.
yeah, so it's kind of, we're getting to a point now of, is he going to figure it out? Is he not? We're rooting for him. It's not like we're not.
But he's got to figure it out. So
Yeah.
that's basically the bottom line. So want to highlight some more of our partners here. We will be at Bunkers actually tomorrow, Faith.
Yes.
So we're looking forward to that. So we moved it up a little bit. So we'll be at Bunkers tomorrow. We'd love to see you at Bunkers. We're not doing our show from there, but Faith and I will have a couple of meetings tomorrow, and then so we will be at Bunkers actually filming a segment for our On the Road show with the HSA. So we'll be featuring Bunkers tomorrow, and we'll be there around noon. So we'd love to see you if you out and about, and and if you don't want to you want to see us, don't come see us. Come eat the great food at Bunkers, and come hang out. It's awesome. It's on West Glen, right there, and 50 parking spots in the parking deck, and just a great place to come and hang out for lunch or dinner. Rent one of the simulator bays and come hang out with your friends and showcase all your skills. The Sure Shot in Alexander City, outdoors for all your outdoor needs. And again, all the hunting apparel, all the ammo. If you're looking for a handgun or a long gun, I buy all my stuff from Sure Shot here in Alexander City. And go by and see Scott Watson and his staff. They will take care of you. They'll make sure you have the right stuff. They'll spend time with you to make sure you're buying the right stuff. So that's very important, especially when you're spending that kind of money. Go by and see them on Highway 280 in Alexander City. The Sure Shot, been buying stuff from them for years. And, man, just great people. I want to shift out of this. I thought something was interesting yesterday that we had on the show. Andy and I talked about Nebraska, which is always their spring game's always been a big fundraiser. And they, Matt Rule was talking about what a big event like AD is for Auburn, but they're considering not even having that this year. And the reason they're considering not having their spring game is because he's like, don't want my players on display for everybody to scout and to tamper and to call when spring is over and try to convince them to come and transfer to their school. And last year we saw at Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin kind of made a fan day, circus kind of day out of the spring game. He didn't do it like a normal spring game. And the rumor is because he didn't want a bunch of teams watching their game going, oh, that guy's improved a lot from last year to this year. I'm going to go after him. We need a slot receiver, or we need that backup running back that may not be getting a start at Ole Miss. We can get him over here and he can start for us. I mean, that's where we are now in this world of college athletics, where you have teams that it's a big deal and it's a big day for fans, and it's a spring game, so you're not going to learn a lot from it, Faith. But you got coaches now so worried about other teams coming in and stealing their players that they just say, "Look, we ain't going to do it. We're just going to cancel it. We'll do our 15 practices behind closed doors, and we'll get ready to play the season." I mean, this is what you're having to deal with.
This sport is not the same.
I mean, not even close.
A-Day for us I've gone, the past couple years or whatever.
Right.
And it's so fun. I've been there when it's pouring rain and
right. 2 years ago, awful.
Oh my gosh, that was awful. But it's so fun, and it's a great for people that aren't able to go because they don't have media passes and all that kind of stuff during some of the practices and stuff.
Right.
Just to be able to go and watch just a small little thing that they put on is so fun and is so exciting for the fan base and all that kind of stuff.
And Auburn now makes it a complete weekend. They start on Friday and do Saturday, Sunday. It means, you got baseball going on. You got, I think softball plays. I think there's a lot of stuff that's going on that weekend, and we'll talk about it as we get closer. But they've already pushed out, spend the weekend with us. It's not just come down for the football game. It's, come down for the weekend and take all this in. But I mean, look.
That's because we're an everything school, Brett.
That's right. Of course it is.
Putting that out there.
That's right. No doubt about it. And we do like to promote that. And that's the goal. You want to be good in everything. But, for your football program, which is your moneymaker, which is your opportunity to, again, usually you're hoping the weather is really nice, in April, and you have, an opportunity to get the fans down there and have some autograph sessions with the players and meet and greet. I remember being a kid and going to A-Day and going down on the field after the game and getting autographs and all that kind of stuff. But it's a shame that coaches have to protect their players and protect their program to the point now where they say, look, we're just not going to do it. And if you're just tuning in and you're saying, what are they talking about? Doing away with what? Nebraska is just considering doing away with their spring game and not playing it because of fear of tampering from other coaches and other programs with their players. And so I don't think that's being thought of. That's not being thought about by other coaches and other programs. Again, I told you yesterday, and I told you just a minute ago about Ole Miss last year with Lane Kiffin, and everybody kind of speculated that that's what he was doing with that format. So anyway, that's kind of I just thought that was interesting. I wanted to get your thoughts on that and everybody's thoughts, because that's a shame that we are having to change, and the programs are changing, and it's because of the money and the NIL and the portal. And we even talked about this, Faith. The portal doesn't even really exist anymore with that ruling with the kid from Wisconsin. If they can work it out when they can transfer to another school, if it's within a window, that school that they're at can't hold them there. They have no power to hold them there. They can, like Faith, if you'd have been at Auburn and gotten frustrated and didn't like it there, or you had something bad happen, or you had a bad experience, and you called your parents like, I'm getting out of here. I'm not staying down here another year. There's nothing Auburn can do to make you stay. You can withdraw and go wherever the heck you want to go.
It's just not the same sport that, we watched.
It's not.
Even for me 10 years ago, especially not, 20, 25 years ago. That's right. For sure. But it's changing and evolving so much. You just hope that, honestly, the guys that you get want to make that program better, and they want to see a future with your program. And that's kind of where what we were talking about earlier with Jakai. I know it's basketball, but still, you want to see the future and the way that they'll be able to contribute, even if it's not this year, if it's next year. But again, you've got to have some sort of trust in the guys that you've got and in your coaches. And we haven't had the best records. We've had some losing records, but
You think?
yeah, not sure how to phrase that, but
You were trying to be nice about it.
I was.
I knew what you were doing. So
But you wanna gain some trust in your coaches, and I think this is gonna be a big year for Hugh, and whether or not he will be able to get the trust from not only his boys, but also the fans.
I want to talk about this tomorrow. We don't have enough time to talk about it today, but tomorrow I want to talk about the pressure on not only Jackson Arnold, but Hugh Freeze, both of them. They both have a lot to prove this year. So what does that mean for Auburn? Again, it's a new start for Jackson Arnold. Will he be the guy? I mean, you would think he probably would, but I don't think Deuce Knight came here thinking he's, so we're going to talk about that tomorrow. I just want to, the more I think about it, and even though we're sitting here in February, every month that passes and we get closer to football, I'm going to get a little bit more antsy about this. I'm going to get a little bit more concerned. Now, we got to see spring. We'll see, and we'll hear the reports of what happens in spring practice, which will start a little bit later this year. You heard Coach Freeze say that last week. So we'll actually be at like the 12 practice mark when we have A-Day. So what will he do with those other practice days after A-Day? Will he do that, or will he just call it off, and say we've seen enough at that point? But again, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But Faith, I think that's a valid worry for a lot of people. Not only, is there a lot of pressure, but both of these guys have something to prove. I mean, the fans at Auburn are waiting for Hugh Freeze to prove that he's the guy. And Jackson Arnold's got to go back out there and prove he's the guy everybody thought he was coming out of high school. So that'll be a little bit of something that we'll dive into tomorrow on the show, Faith. All right, coming up tonight in the SEC, again, Missouri at Tennessee at 6 o'clock. That should be a really good basketball game. Missouri's playing outstanding. Tennessee has jumped all the way back up to number 4. I saw in the latest bracket prediction, they're a number 1 seed now with Alabama and Auburn. So 3 out of the 4 number 1 seeds in one of the projected brackets have 3 SEC teams. Arkansas at Texas. Can Arkansas put 2 in a row together? We'll see. And then LSU at Georgia. And again, that's the game nobody cares about. So that's why at 8 o'clock tonight, nobody's staying up to watch that. Even though even LSU and Georgia fans probably aren't staying up to watch that one. So again, Kyle said Missouri by 10. I hope at least. Hey, that'd be huge. If Missouri, look, I'm telling you, don't sleep on Missouri. Faith, you and I talked about that. Glad we played them early.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, they're going to the Rocky Top in Knoxville, so hopefully they'll be able to, kind of shut them down. But I'm excited for that game. It's definitely going to be a fun one to watch.
What a turnaround for that program, by the way. They didn't win a single SEC game last year, and now they're number 15 in the country. And you look at them in the standings, they're in 3rd place. They're 6-2 behind Alabama at 8-1 and Auburn at 9-0. They're in sole possession of 3rd place. This is a good Missouri team, a very, very good Missouri team. Tennessee's 5-4. Again, this is a monumental game for Missouri. If they were to win this game, they're still in the hunt for the regular season. Yeah. They go to 7-2 at that point with a massive win over Tennessee. And boy, it really pushes Tennessee down at that point after 10 games at 5-5 to an almost impossible. And it may be a devastating loss to knock them back out of that number 1 seed and maybe down to the number two line on the bracket. That's how big a game this is tonight for both of those teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, I mean, they've got Texas A&M at home on
Massive.
Saturday.
Massive.
And yeah, we've talked about we were happy to get them out of the way too early on. So I mean, well, I'm excited to watch that game. I think it'll be a good game.
Yep, no doubt about it. I'm very excited about a good midweek game to watch tonight. Okay, everybody. Again, want to thank Sense Green for air that's cool and clean. Call on Sense Green. You see the Carrier logo on the post-game banner for Auburn on the press conferences. Big supporters of Auburn University, and glad they support our Auburn Blitz podcast as well. Scout Program Management, full construction management firm in Birmingham, Alabama. If you're looking at a construction project, pre-planning phase, call on Scout Program Management. That's what they do. They're the best in the business. They've got multiple huge projects going on around the state of Alabama right now that they're in charge of. One namely being right here in Alexander City with the construction of new Benjamin Russell High School. So call on Scout Program Management. They'll handle all your construction needs from start to finish. Bunkers. Faith and I will be at Bunkers tomorrow. Come see us. We'd love to see you at noon if you're out and about. We're going to be filming a segment there for our On the Road show. But the food's outstanding. We'll be having lunch there. You need to come out and have lunch there as well. And then the Sure Shot in Alexander City. Great place to go get all your outdoor apparel. Turkey season's coming up very, very soon. So make sure you go by. I just went on a quail hunt yesterday morning. Great time hanging out with Sloan and Charles from Scout and up in Childersburg, Alabama at Selwood. What a beautiful place. And so I bought all my shotgun shells from Sure Shot. The gun that I was using was bought from Sure Shot. So I couldn't have gone quail hunting yesterday, Faith, if I hadn't gone to Sure Shot. So go by Sure Shot in Alexander City on Highway 280. They'll hook you up with all your hunting needs and stuff. So, all right, Faith, time to hit the road again. Got a busy day ahead. Glad Auburn won against Oklahoma. Keep this train rolling into Florida on Saturday. And I think you'll be headed back to the Plains today, right?
I'm so excited to go back home.
Thought you were becoming – didn't even have a chance to talk about your experience last night of you going to the Kentucky Ole Miss game.
Yeah, that was definitely it was a different experience. I hate to break it to everybody, but I was in some Rebel attire.
I mean, you had to kind of.
Hey, but I not once I did not say, hotty toddy or go Rebs or anything. But I did have the little shaker and
sure.
Yay. Yeah, I was texting Brett, and I think it's absolutely crazy that, a couple of years ago, people would camp out for Kentucky and people would get really, really excited when they would come to their school. We walked in about 5:30, 5:45 and got front row seats in the student section for the game that started at 6 o'clock. For the Auburn game, we had to buy $88 a pop tickets for the nosebleeds. They were $5 a pop last year. Nope, $5 a pop last night. And I think that just shows what you said last night.
Who's king?
Who the king is. And I mean,
and you were the queen.
It was a beautiful thing last night. It really boosted my ego as an Auburn fan, that's for sure. But yeah, it was a fun experience. I was glad.
You know what you should have done, Faith? You know what you should have done? If you're not this kind of person, but it would have been funny for you to just go back in all Auburn and they go, "What are you doing?" Said, "I had so much fun Saturday here.
I had to come
I hung around to come back to this place, and I just wanted to show all this off again." That would
I
have been
told
funny.
I told Reese I was gonna do that. He said, "Absolutely not." So, I actually was, kind of on the same wavelength that
Okay.
you're thinking, but
I knew you had it in you. I knew you had it in you.
Reese said, "Faith, absolutely not. You can get out of here with that." I said, "Okay, that's fine. I will go. I will support. I will go have fun." It was fun. The officiating was definitely a lot different than it was when we
Of
played
course.
them.
Of course.
But yeah, they had a great game last night. It was a fun game to watch for sure. Thought they were gonna sell it towards the end, I'm gonna be honest. But they didn't, and that was good because that would have made for a really, really um depressing last night here for me.
Well, you did a
But
good job of being an imposter Ole Miss fan last night. So,
I do what I can, I do it for the
yep,
people.
you just there for the support, right?
No kidding.
Well, Faith, thank you so much. Let's see real quick. I only have a couple more comments coming in. Yeah, Justice said nothing wrong with cheering against Kentucky. So, Jerron said Hugh better have his stuff together. I don't know why I'm saying that. I've said it 100,000 times on this show. I don't know why I bleep myself out there. But yeah, he better have his stuff together, no doubt, this year. And if he doesn't, I think we all know what's going to end up happening. And it's like Jerron said, it'll be his last year. So, hopefully, again, we're going to talk about that some more tomorrow. But again, we can't thank all of you enough each and every day for making us a part of your start. And we get started at 8 normally right around here and, take it right on up around 9 o'clock every day. So we appreciate you if you're sitting at your office watching us or if you're in the car, wherever it is that you're watching. We appreciate it. Whenever it is that you catch us, I know a lot of you watch the podcast later on in the day and at night. So we appreciate all of you. And again, help us spread the word. We're going to continue to say that. Our shameless plugs of subscribing to our YouTube channel help us grow. If you like what we do, you like our content, please spread the word, become a new subscriber, and tell all your buddies and tell their buddies to tell their buddies. And it help us
And
spread
we
it.
just got an Instagram too.
We did just start our Instagram.
So, and it's Auburn Blitz. So make sure you go follow that as well because we'll post little reels and stuff like that just kind of throughout the day. So make sure you go follow that.
We'll post my rants and we'll watch Faith just sit there and laugh at me while I'm ranting about whatever it is that I go on rants about. So it doesn't usually take a lot, but she kind of got me fired up with the Ole Miss fan running their mouth about football season while we're kicking their butt in basketball. So that's what losers do, right? They change
Exactly.
the subject.
They
So
flip it around.
that's exactly right. So, all right, guys, been fun again this morning. Randy and I will be on the Auburn Blitz show at lunch today, so make sure you tune us in for that. We'll have a lot to talk about there, and then we'll all be back. Randy will be back with us in the morning to start, and then Faith, you'll jump in about 8:20. You get a little bit later sleep on the Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I know you don't mind that at all. So you get to jump in a little bit later on. So, but again, we all appreciate it so much. And again, we will be back with you tomorrow for another Auburn Blitz podcast. Hope all of you have a great and wonderful day and a big War Eagle to everybody.
War Eagle.